Good evening, happy December. We're going to call our meeting to order. You'll all please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome all of you this evening. Let's begin with our superintendent comments.
Thank you, Dr. Towers. Good evening, everybody. We got a packed house. The champs are in the house.
They're in the house. Woo!
The craziest bunch of ladies you'll ever meet. They talk like constantly.
Yeah, I know.
When you see them in the hallway, you just can't get them to be quiet. That was supposed to be funny, ladies. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that.
They're so rowdy now.
We are so glad they're here. We'll get to them in just a second. So welcome tonight to everybody. We're glad you're with us. Obviously, we're excited to have the back-to-back state champs. We'll talk about them in a little bit. We are fully in the month of December. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And I can't believe it, but before you know it, here comes the holiday break. And I just wish everybody a wonderful winter break. And then as we get ready for the next year, obviously joy, health, and happiness to everybody. As this school year progresses and we're in the middle of the winter season, I want to remind everyone that we are continuing with our regular school health protocols. Please be aware of the rise of respiratory viruses and the flu during the winter months. With that said, I want to stress the importance of everyone practicing healthy hygiene protocols and staying home when sick. Let's all do our part in helping keep everyone as healthy as possible this winter, even though it's been pretty mild outside. Reminder, detailed information regarding our inclement weather, our snow and AMI days plans and communication process was sent out all to everyone on November 1st. Please note we will use our 3 built-in snow days first if needed for any inclement weather days we have. I can't believe we're talking about that because we have been on a pretty good roll in terms of the weather. However, recently we unfortunately had to cancel school for a couple of schools due to a water main break issue, or issues I should say. The canceled days are pending. I just want to remind everybody of that. Those days are pending for being made up at this time, meaning we have to wait to see how many snow days we use to determine if we have to make up any time in those buildings where school was canceled, and we'll continue to keep people communicated for that. Speaking of water main break issues, we have seen a rise in breaks this year. It's Jeremy Shields' fault, so send all the emails to him. Right, Jeremy? Please know we're doing everything we can to help prevent these issues, but if a break does occur, we assess the situation and make decisions regarding having school or not as soon as we can. Communication goes out as soon as possible, and we thank everyone for their continued patience, understanding, and support. Tonight, we are excited. Ms. Jones would like to stand up for us. This is Ashley Jones. You can clap for her. And the family. Have the family stand up. Have the family stand up.
Why don't you stand up?
Stand up. Ashley, let me say who Ashley is first, and then you can introduce your family. But we're excited to announce important staff hiring at the Board of Education just approved in closed session. Congratulations to our very own Ashley Jones. Ashley is currently one of our special education coordinators. However, her new role starting in July will be Assistant Superintendent of Special Services. We're extremely excited about Ashley taking the reins of our special education student services programs. Ashley will be taking the place of Ms. Julie McClard. You can clap for her as well, who is retiring at the end of this year. We thank Julie for all that she has done as a part of our central office team, and we welcome Ashley to the team. Would you like to introduce your family?
Absolutely. This is my husband, Dallas. Starting with the oldest, this is Maddox. This is McKenna, and this is Roman, and this is my mother, Kat.
Let's give them all a hand. You guys can have a seat. Ashley, we're thrilled about your new position. Congratulations. Also, I got a lot of things tonight, so just settle in. We got a lot of great things to talk about. Congratulations in store at Lincoln Elementary. Proud grandma right here. As Lincoln likes to say, their theme song, I think you know it, the young kids will probably know it, all we do is win, win, win. That's what Lincoln says a lot because they do win a lot. And they are now getting another prestigious award for their high student academic performance. And I have a quick little letter. I'm not going to read all of it, but this is from the actual commissioner herself, Dr. Margie Van Diemen. And she says, "Dear Dr. Seifert," she actually knows me, I would like to take a moment to congratulate Lincoln Elementary on being named as one of the National Association of Elementary and Secondary Education Act, that's ESEA, Distinguished Schools for the 23-24 school year. The Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education salutes your academic perseverance and proven processes to ignite successful learning for your students. These efforts have led to exceptional student performance and academic growth. This recognition is one of the highest honors Title I schools can receive, and it is an extraordinary accomplishment to be named one of the top Title I schools in the state of Missouri and the nation. Let's give Lincoln a hand. Moving on, how about Hardin Middle School? We had a huge event on November 17th. The commissioner was here yet again, along with other DESE officials, and we were able to surprise and give an award to Leah Lawrence, an ELA teacher who was fantastic, with the prestigious Milken Award. It was a great day to highlight HMS and celebrate Leah. We are so proud of Leah and the great work our HMS staff is doing every day to meet students' needs. Congrats to Leah. Also, just a side note, HMS keeps racking up the awards because if you remember correctly, earlier in the year, Jeffrey Collier, their band teacher, was a state finalist for Teacher of the Year, so let's give Hardin Middle School another hand. Fall and sports activity season is complete, and we are into our winter season. Congratulations to our back-to-back state champion St. Charles West girls cross-country team. Tonight is special because the Warriors are here to be recognized, and we'll just do that in just a second with Dr. Lewis. But we'll talk about a few other things before we get to that. This year's, you want to clap again? You can't. You're the boss. You can do whatever you want. The boss wants to clap again. Let's clap.
Congratulations.
We like to clap a lot.
I like to clap.
This year's turkey tip-off was awesome. The SCHS gym was packed, and the Pirates and Warriors competed hard in all 4 games. The St. Charles High boys basketball team celebrated 100 years of basketball with a wonderful turnout of past coaches and players. It was a great night for the community, and we had some ladies in here participate in those games as well. It's just also always an awesome night. Congratulations to St. Charles. We're just going to talk about St. Charles West all night. Is it okay, Dr. Vogel? Jonathan Novelli, congratulations to St. Charles West musician Jonathan Novelli, and I just heard him perform at the Optimist Club on Tuesday, and can he jam on the bass? I never knew the bass was really cool. It's pretty cool, actually. As his audition at the St. Louis Suburban District Honor Ensemble received the highest score in the entire St. Louis district. Meaning, as a result of his outstanding performance, Jonathan Novelli is the only bass player in the state of Missouri selected to the All-State Jazz Ensemble. Way to go, Jonathan, and we are so proud of you. And yes, we can clap for him.
All right, we're going.
Just a shout out to all of our performing arts and arts in our departments and all of our grade levels. We've had some awesome plays. There's some tremendous concerts. I think Karen's been to all of them, so congratulations, Karen. You go to a lot of them, which is awesome. And we just got a lot of great things happening in the district with students. Board of Education seats are open again. We have 2 open seats up for our April election. We also, for this meeting, we have worked hard on a governance and highly qualified staff CSIP review. We have a policy change to talk about. We have 22-23 audit review, and we also have our district financial report. And just quickly, again, winter break is just around the corner. Our last school day is December 21st, which is an early release day or half day. Let's finish the 23 calendar year strong. I want to again wish everyone a happy holiday season. Take good care, and we can't wait to see what will be, see what I did there?
Yeah,
be in store for the SCSD in 2024. We are in the midst of a very productive 23-24 school year. I want to encourage all of us to continue to be safe, respectful, and responsible as we continue to work together. Happy holidays to everyone, and I am finished.
Lots of good things going on. Thank you. Item 3.04 is board communication. Did we have none? No. Okay. Well, then we get to come to item 3.05, where we are going to be recognizing St. Charles West cross-country girls. Wish we had a drum roll or the bass or something.
So to help celebrate our back-to-back state champs, we're going to bring up Scott Boker to say a few words and hand out the certificates.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So first, before I jump into this, just out of curiosity, how many of you have run in a 5K before?
I can't run across the kitchen.
So I'm not going to ask you for your time, although I have run in a 5K with Dr. Seifert before.
Are you calling that running that I did?
Well, I'm just
Participate.
throw it out there.
I'm getting hot and
Dr.
sweaty
Seifert
in
and I
here.
had the pleasure, we'll call it the pleasure, of participating in our cross-country team's fun run a couple of years ago on their home course at McNair.
About
And
killed me that day.
we will not mention our times, but I think both of us would say we were just incredibly proud to have finished. I think the girls would have lapped both of us, and that's easy to say. But for those of you who have run a 5K, road race, et cetera, you know just how impressive this is. I would emphasize that that's not even what these ladies are doing on a regular basis. What they do is over all terrain in any weather conditions, and they are out there grinding in the winter, in the summer, and then in the fall season. They're running miles and miles all year long to prepare for each race that they run during the cross-country season. And these ladies are outstanding. It's impressive to just see the amount of effort that they put forth throughout their seasons, and the success that they have had is phenomenal. So at this point, before I kind of get into some of their individual accolades, I am going to invite our coaches and our athletes, if you would just come on up and stand, and then I will kind of recognize each one of you individually. So Dr. Seifert had mentioned that this is our back-to-back state champion girls cross-country team. I would also like to point out that not only have they won the state championship this past season and last year, but they also finished second in the state the year before that. So they've brought trophies home 3 years running, and our hope is that this trend may continue for at least a couple of years to come. We've got a lot of potential and a lot of youth in this group. So to get into it, I'm going to recognize each individual. When I recognize you, if you would, because I believe, I'm just going to assume that they're going to want a picture. So if you would just go ahead and come on in front of me, and we'll line up, and you can be recognized in front of the board.
Face the crowd, don't worry about it.
And I will, once everybody's over here, I'll hand you your certificates from the board, okay? So we're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to recognize one of our seniors, Vivian Jones. So first and foremost, I'll just kind of point out, in order to attend the state meet, you have to qualify. So these girls are not the only girls on the cross-country team, but they are the girls that performed consistently at the top of the heap, okay? So Vivian qualified and attended the state meet as one of our alternate runners, and she was there to step in when needed, and she continued to train after the season with all of the girls. Addie Nichols, another one of our alternates. Abby Loftus. And I don't think she's here. Emily Finley can't be here with us, but she also ran in last year's state meet, but was unfortunately injured this year, so unable to compete. The next 7 runners that I'm going to introduce, these ladies all ran in the state meet, and I'm going to tell you just how impressive their performance was. So I believe, Sheldon, you might be able to correct me, but I think in the Class 3 state meet, there were approximately 180-ish runners, give or take. Yeah. So this young lady finished 71st out of 180. Reagan Govero, she ran a 21:08. Yes, that's correct, 21:08. I would die. Reagan,
I don't even want to talk about the rest of them.
just so you know, Reagan also finished this season as an all-conference runner and an all-district runner. And then Avery Jackson finishing 48th. Avery had a time of 20 minutes and 29 seconds. And then finishing 31st, Milena Bilesmith. That's fine, that's fine. Milena ran almost a 20 flat, 20 and just what, 6/10 of a second? 28th place was Jenna Wacker. Oh, sorry, real quick, before I come back to Jenna. Avery Jackson, also, where are you, Avery? Also an all-conference and all-district runner. Milena, also an all-conference and all-district runner. And then Jenna Wacker, who finished 28th, ran her state meet in a time of 19 minutes and 56 seconds, finishing all-district and all-state. 24th place, Miley Jackson. Miley ran a 19:43, finishing all-conference, all-district, and all-state. 8th place, Claire Horseman. Real quick, just a note about Claire. You did not want to be in a race with Claire late in the game. She would go out, kind of bide her time, and then the last half of the race, forget about it. She's passing people right and left.
I don't want to be in a race with Claire ever. Not late, not early.
Claire ran a 19:14, but she might have run the fastest third mile in the whole 5K. I'm not sure, but she also finished the year all conference, all district, and all state. And then welcome to the team, freshman Brianna Kruger. Brianna finished the state meet in 3rd place.
Oh,
She ran an 18:35, which, according to the Post-Dispatch today, was the 8th fastest 5K of all area runners this year. She finished all conference, all district, all state, and they announced today that she is receiving all metro recognition as well. So. And our ladies couldn't have done it without their coaches, so we're going to introduce our assistant coach, Miss Robin Rains, also welcome to the team. And then finally, our head coach, also a St. Charles West graduate and cross-country runner, and Class 3 Coach of the Year, Mr. Sheldon Kinks. So I can't tell you enough how proud we are of these young ladies and their coaches. In addition to just how wonderful they have competed over the year, I would also like to celebrate them because not only are they fantastic citizens for us at St. Charles West, they have a team GPA of 4.34.
oh, wow.
Which doesn't even really include our freshman because she doesn't have a GPA yet. But I looked today and it's only going to go up. So congratulations to each one of you. I will come by and hand you your certificates. And then I believe the board will want to get some pictures, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, they can come down. Yeah. We'll get the picture on it all together. Oh, I just,
Vocals handing out the certificates. I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm freaking 3 feet. I mean, that.
put that pressure on them.
What does it just say? Let's go, Chris. 3 feet. Oh, we'll give some more then. What are we missing? We missing some. If we need to make some more, we can. Just let me know.
coaches in the same. No, 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 just the team. Oh, yeah, you get in it. And Scott. He wanted to be there so bad that day. He did. Oh, psh, shut.
Real quick, if you guys can, just take a look back, and they would love to.
Shake your hands. Well, congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congrats. Hi, congratulations. Congrats. Congratulations, Claire. Congratulations. Congrats. Thank you, Bob. Congratulations. Congratulations.
So proud of you, the work you're doing here.
Congrats.
So just in case anybody didn't hear that, everyone was saying again what's happening?
We invite y'all to our place on February 2nd. We've got 4 games. Our boys and girls basketball teams will take on St. Charles High in a rematch from the turkey tip-off. But we do have some special recognitions for these young ladies again that evening and some additional surprises. So come join us.
And I understand, some sizing took place the other day?
Yes.
That's pretty exciting, so we're excited about that, so.
We are.
All right, congratulations, one more hand for the state champs. So proud.
Yeah. Well, we're so happy you're all here and so proud of all of you and for your parents and all the work that you're doing. But we're going to take a short break because it's a school night and you may want to head out. So we'll take a little break right now. If you want to head home, this is your chance to do that. Congratulations. See, I don't want to slow it up by going out. When we go out in the audience and we start talking with them, it slows everything up. I know.
Ronnie, but it's okay, we can.
Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay, we're ready for item 3.06, and that's audience comments. And I have 3 cards. Brendan? Oh, sorry, Brendan. After you even. I was so excited to keep rolling along, and she even told me.
All regular and special meetings of the board shall be open to the public. It is.
Put the red lights on. Yeah. I don't think your mic's working.
Yeah, I don't know why this.
No, you're good.
Is it working?
All regular and special meetings of the board shall be open to the public. Since the board desires to be a good listener and be responsive to the community, persons desiring to address the board may do so during the time so allotted on the agenda and according to established procedures. During the audience portion of each board meeting, patrons are invited by the president to speak for or against any proposal on the tentative agenda or on any other school concern. The individual is asked to identify him or herself, limit comments to a few minutes, and avoid discussing personalities. The president reserves the right to limit the number of presentations and/or length of comments. At the discretion of the president, patrons may be recognized at other times during the board meeting. The board is very interested in audience comments. According to board policy, members cannot respond during the actual meeting. The board will listen to audience comments. If necessary, additional follow-up will occur through district administrators.
Okay, thank you. All right, Brendan, if you'll take the mic.
Good evening, Central Office staff and members of the Board of Education. My name is Brendan Kearns. I'm the president of the St. Charles Education Association, the exclusive bargaining organization for certified staff and nurses in the district. As Dr. Seifert mentioned in his comments, we have a ton to celebrate this year. It's really been a great year, a great month. I'll shout out again a congratulations to SCEA member and Hardin Middle School ELA teacher Leah Lawrence for that Milliken Award. She was, I believe, one of 2 in the state of Missouri to win that. It comes with a $25,000 prize and is truly a prestigious award. Our organization is getting ready for negotiations and gearing up for that. Teachers are working hard on that, crafting our stories, and excited to sit down with the district and keep building this to be a great workplace, continues to be a great workplace. Also, with the end of the semester coming up, it's kind of crunch time right now. Secondary folks working hard on getting their kids through exams, elementary school teachers navigating Christmas parties and everything. We just want to conclude by wishing everybody a safe and joyful winter holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Teresa Litznich.
Hello, I'm Teresa Linsnick, a taxpayer, mom, and substitute in St. Charles School District. I want to speak on the audit that's in the agenda tonight. I looked, and on the 22 FEW audit management comment letter, it looks to be saying that in 2022, there was a big deficiency in hundreds of thousands of dollars, but in 23, bank reconciliation was very close to the general ledger balance, which is it's a good accomplishment. So, and then I'm concerned about what the auditors said, though, that it looks like only one person prepares checks and bank reconciliations, and the same person enters all accounting transactions, accesses the positive pay system, and it's the only person to see the district's bank statements on a monthly basis. So too much on just one person. So the auditors recommended at least another pair of eyes, such as the superintendent or assistant super or board member reviews and initializes bank statements monthly. So I think that I'm looking forward to you discussing that tonight. And that's actually, that comment by the auditors is on page 2 of the audit management comment letter. And also, I just want to say a little prayer, and I just wanted to start it. Thank you, Lord, for Christmas, where God's Son came to make us sons of God. Thank you that because of him, we have access to the Creator of us all. We invite you into this meeting, Lord. We know that if we only have knowledge without wisdom, it's only knowledge. Only you can give us true wisdom. We humbly ask that you allow truth to reign in this place, because it's only with truth that we have true freedom. In the Bible, you said to ask for wisdom, that you would give wisdom freely without finding fault. So we ask for wisdom. We ask for wisdom and boldness to speak, boldness to discuss, freedom to discuss what we really think. No question is a dumb question. And we do this all for the precious children that are under our care. May we all be unified in purpose, diverse in opinion, but in purpose be unified, because it's all for the children. And Lord, bless the children and the families to know that you have a place, a purpose, and a plan for them. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Thank you. And Teresa, during public comment, we did allow that, but that's not, a prayer that we are praying in our schools. But we appreciate your thoughts. Kathy Alstoff.
Good evening to the board and administration. I'm Kathy Ellsdorf, co-president along with Jill Myers of the St. Charles Educational Support Staff Association. Jill cannot be here tonight. SCSD is preparing for the upcoming negotiations in 2024. First, we assembled the SCSD team in October, the administration, board members, staff, SCEA, transportation, and SCSD were in a training seminar with Peggy Cochran. This week, a survey was sent out to all classified staff within the district asking for their concerns so that SCSD can better represent all classified staff during negotiations. On behalf of SCSD, I would like to wish each board member and all administration a happy holiday season. Thank you, and 5 more get-ups.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay. Ready to move along. Sometimes we take a break at this point also, but I think we allowed most of our audience who needed to leave. But if any of you still would like to leave, please, you're welcome to do so. This is like a vaudeville act.
You think you hired quietly. Great job tonight.
Okay. Item 3.07, do I have a motion to amend or adopt our agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Aye.
Okay, Brian. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, so the agenda is approved. Item 4.01, the consent agenda for efficiency. The school board utilizes a consent agenda. Items placed on the consent agenda are routine in nature, are among the many decisions that the board has already determined are in the domain of the administration. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second? Ellen, all right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Item 6.01, this is the beginning of our review of our CSIP standards, and this one is on governance and personnel. And are you?
I will take it away.
Okay.
Chris, if you want to get that PowerPoint up for us. We created a quick PowerPoint for you. As you will notice, board members, that a lot of these slides are review slides because we are in our last year of our CSIP. We will be rewriting our CSIP next year. But per MSIP 6 standards, and guided by Desi, that we do need to have a review each year. And so if we do all 5 goals in one night, it's really, really long, so we always split it up. So tonight it will be very quick, just review from the governance lens, which is all of you, that's your portion of it. Now we'll run that, and then Ronnie's gonna give us a quick review of highly qualified staff. And then you'll have the other 3 in the springtime. So very quickly, Chris, we're gonna run through this. So obviously, just remind everybody our mission, it's reach, teach, and empower all students in a safe, diverse, innovative learning environment. Vision, obviously, we want to and strive to be that leader of academic excellence that prepares students to be successful in all aspects of life. And then we go in through some value statements. I'm not gonna read this all read them all, but go ahead and just real quick. So obviously, we talk about highly quality education for all students. The key word you're gonna hear is all, a lot. Obviously, high qualified staff, by doing those certain things, obviously informed decisions that are always student-centered. You can continue to go. And then goals. So we have governance and highly qualified staff tonight. Like I said, in the spring, you'll see student performance, parent and community involvement, and facility support instructional resources. And so my piece and your piece is the governance piece. So we're gonna talk about that very quickly. And so our key objectives, and this is again 5 years ago when we came up with our objectives. First one has to do with transition, so we've been looking at our structures of our schools, and we've talked about through the years now on how important it is for our ECC kids to transition well into our 6 elementary schools, and then our 6 elementary schools feed into one 5th and 6th grade center, and that obviously is Jefferson, and that is a huge transition. Obviously, then they go into Hardin Middle School and then transition to high school. So we've been focused now on the transition piece. We also want to maintain a fiscal responsibility. We want to continue to have maintain fiscal responsibility, which we have, and we'll talk about that tonight in the audit as well. And then the third piece that the board talked about, the key objective was improving the public image. Okay, Chris, you can. So these are just substantial highlights of things that we've met those goals. And so again, I'm not going to read them all to you, but as you can see, we've really focused the last 5 years on really what those transition activities look like from the ECC. Obviously, there's the elementary. You can read some of those highlights of the things that we're doing to make sure kids and families feel very comfortable moving in from obviously from the district, sometimes new to the district, to the ECC, and then coming into our elementary schools. Next slide, please. Then we get into, we really try to strengthen what that Jefferson transition looks like. Our Jefferson staff's done a great job and really keying in on, you know, we've got 6 different elementary schools that are as consistent as ever in terms of what we are doing instructionally, but they're all 6 different schools, and they come right into Jefferson all together. I know we have a Jefferson teacher back there. Don't they all come in with 6 different places? So really focusing on that transition. You can see the things that we do there. And then the middle school level, really focusing on some things that we're doing there. And I know Dr. Jewett is still working on making sure that our Jefferson kids are acclimated and feeling good about coming to the Hardin Middle School before it starts. And then the high school level has done some really neat things. West has the Warrior Welcome Day, and then the high school they've always had orientations and different things and registration day, but now they have a day where just the freshmen come in. They call it a Warrior Welcome Day at West, and then over at High they call it All Aboard Day, and it's just a day for the freshmen to get in there. There's leaders from the upper, the seniors and the juniors and seniors, upperclassmen, and they just go through a whole day of activities and things to get them acclimated to the building, so it's pretty neat. Here are some other substantial highlights that we do. Obviously, Strong United School Identity and Student Connections. So this kind of gives you just a really quick rundown. Again, a lot of these slides are the same that we've seen through the years, but all the things that we're doing new to us, not new to all of our buildings, but one thing that we're doing obviously is really bringing in that PBIS system, early childhood through 12th grade, and that has been really neat to see at a district level. And you can just see the neat things that we do. And obviously we put our student clinic on there too, because we're excited about that coming as well. Other substantial Met highlights, communication with students obviously strengthened, so it kind of gives you the idea of what we've done in terms of social media and different things, and then obviously some sources of funding, and that's that fiscal part that we'll obviously have a conversation today about the audit as well as our financial update, but it kind of, again, highlights the things that we've done over the last 5 years. We're proud at this point that we're maintaining a fund balance that's greater than 20%, and you get that update monthly as well. And then again, some of the things that we've talked about, we reset some elementary school boundaries. This was when the new subdivision came in 3 or 4 years ago. Obviously, our financial decisions are aligned with our CSIP goals. You know, our CSIP drives everything that we do, and then it just shows then at the bottom is really a key for us, is ensuring that systematic approach of what we're doing, and obviously our big rocks of RTI and student needs is a big piece of that. Strong social media presence. Thank you to Chris back there that does a lot of that for us. And then we've done a lot of presentations the last 5 years as well. And most notably, coming up with our work as a district-wide PBIS implementer, we're actually giving the keynote as a district this year. So the first time I've really known that an actual district has just been said, hey, can you guys come do the keynote? So our team's gonna be doing that. That's pretty exciting as well.
That's amazing.
And then, Chris? And then some more highlights, obviously strong community partnerships. We love St. Charles, our own Care to Learn. A lot of us get out to Rotary. Jeremy's in the Rotary, I'm in the Rotary, I'm also in the Optimist Club. Earl is on the board of our Boys and Girls Club. And so a lot of just great partnerships. We always talk about being resource rich in our community, so we're excited about that. And then Chris has created his advisory board for community relations. They've been meeting as well to get some good ideas. And then our M6 surveys from last year have really helped us with collecting data from our stakeholders. Ongoing needs, we're continuing to still review strengths and weaknesses of our transition processes. We're looking at other districts of kind of what they're doing in terms of what their structures look like. You'll see down there at the bottom, demographic study. That's probably gonna be more of the summer than the spring, as Jeremy told me that Monday. But what that's gonna do is really give us a really good idea of what our upcoming numbers look like. Because I think, you know, I don't wanna say too much at this point, but I think as we move forward in our next 5-year strategic plan, I think we have to take a really close look at what our demographic outlook is going to be, what our numbers look like, and then look, what is our structures gonna look like? Are we gonna look at, we're not looking at making huge decisions, but I think we have to look at, do we, you know, at some point, do our numbers look for us to go to one high school and those type of things? So I think some of those questions will be answered in our next 5 years of our strategic plan. Go back to that, sorry. We obviously want to continue to strengthen our transitions, continue to ensure our financial decisions, and so those are just the ongoing things that we're still working on. And then, next one, Chris. And then, just marketing materials and things that Chris is doing, we're obviously still working just as needed basis with those type of things in terms of marketing as well. All right.
All right.
Rodney.
So, yes, they're right there for me, Chris. Highly qualified staff. 5 years ago, we were looking to recruit a culturally diverse staff, competitive salary benefits, which is something that is an ongoing conversation year after year, especially this is prior to COVID, so you can only imagine that after going through the pandemic, how things have changed, especially when it comes to additional staffing, instructional and mental health supports, and then content area specialists, which we've been able to accomplish. So things that's met or highlights. So we've been very fortunate in terms of a Grow Your Own program. We have started it, but it was already in place. We've been able to partner with St. Charles High's Future Teachers of America, convert that into at least our baseline for a Grow Your Own program, and then that's at St. Charles High, and then we'll work on getting that going at St. Charles West. The teacher at High, Danielle Munzer, was totally open to the idea of working with the potential of scholarships to try to draw individuals back if they decide to pursue education back to our district. That's the goal. They decide they want to be a teacher in our school district, go off for 4 years, then come back and somehow serve the future St. Charles. Again, when we presented on this last year, we did add instructional coaches at the high schools. So that's a huge benefit. RTI specialists at all of our schools, K through 8. And at that time, we had split positions, but each elementary school has an RTI specialist, along with Jefferson and Hardin. So 9 social workers, staff of color. The reason that says a -1 is because when I presented on this last year, compared to When we first started the CSIP, we were up 37%, but we're probably right now at about 36. So we're holding steady there. Competitive salary, as both of our union representation discussed, we are in negotiation season in 2024, so we look forward to partnering with them. And then just a couple of highlights to since we started this CSIP up until now, stipends, which we were gracious for the board to give all of our staff two $1,000 stipends during that time of COVID and the year after. Paid teacher training during the first week back. Teachers are now paid for their training, their mandatory training, and a winter break extension. So in March of last year, we had a calendar committee, and we were able to take 2 days, 2 student days off, but extend winter break by 2 days, but then put paid teacher training at the beginning of August. Ongoing needs, grow your own is a work in progress. So as I'm fortunate, and we're all fortunate that the program is at least lifted, but to actually get through this year, be able to give away potential scholarships, and then go through a 4-year process to see if that first crop of grow your own candidates actually comes back. So it's more than just having a program in a high school. Really, when you're thinking about grow your own, you're looking at the longevity of a program. Kid tells you that if one of our students tell us that they want to be teachers as a senior, 4 years later, we want them to come back, right? So that's the goal. It's not just a program that once they leave the district, then it's done. No, you kind of, you got to monitor it a little bit. And you think about it, it's every 4 years you're trying to see if they're coming back. You know, and things change. You know, we all change in 4 years, but that's the goal. Also, you know, growing student populations and enrollment, which is predicated on staffing. So those two are, that's a marriage, right? The number of students based on the number of staffing. And it's always a delicate balance because, you know, we have balances and got to work with Jeremy on budgets. But obviously we want to make sure that the staffing's appropriate and students have an opportunity to get what they need. And then last but not least, in this market, I'm gonna say staffing shortages, but many times we're talking about the teacher shortages, but I'm having trouble finding paras at times and bus drivers as much as I am a special education teacher, you know? So staffing shortages and then remaining competitive, not only in the county, but just across the board, because what you can't give in salary, sometimes you try to give in total rewards and perks, such as if you were employed by our district, then you can bring your child to our district, even if you live away from the district. That's a perk, right? That's a part of the total rewards as much as a competitive salary to live on. So that'll always be an ongoing need. I don't know if we'll ever figure that out, but you know, with the collaboration with our union representation, we do at this point. I feel confident that we've done a great job of partnering with them and coming up and constantly increasing and giving what we can to our staff in terms of salary, but also staying fiscally responsible, as Jeremy talks about each month. That's all that I have.
Specifically with that, last year, we were able to come back to the table and do a little more. And so there was a little bit of a chart that went out last year that talked just the 5 counties, school districts here in our county, and in every category where they just kind of laid it out in terms of top salaries, starting salary to where you end, and those type of things. We're very competitive and at the top of the list in most categories, and we're very proud of that, and we want to continue to do that. So. Anything else, Rodney?
That's it.
That is our review.
And it was a lovely review, thank you both. Are there any questions about the reviews? Do I have a motion to approve the reviews?
I second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. We're ready for item 7.01. This is the first reading for a policy. This policy from MSBA, as you can see, is one that we're currently doing a lot of this already. And if I'm correct on this, this policy about a risk assessment allows us to kind of coordinate and keep track of all of the many behavioral programs we already have in place. And and you guys are doing that now, but MSBA has sent this policy, and it's not one that is required by any change in law, but it may be one that we want to have in our policy, anyway, as a kind of a backup. So this is the first reading. If you have some comments, we can talk about it, or we can look at it next month.
When I was a teacher in the district, we had what were called care teams, and it was like informal, and it was put in place unevenly. Sometimes the care team would do something, but, how is this different than a care team?
So, and I don't know if you want to jump in, but I'll get a context a little bit of what I see this policy doing for us and just kind of formalizing the process. So to answer your question, we do have care teams still in some of our, they call it different things, but like in St. Charles High, they've obviously actually revitalized that process this year, and I think they started last year, where really got a systematic approach to how we're helping kids. Now, in terms of what does that look like in each school, I think it probably looks a little different in terms of how they bring their teams together. But basically, it's a focus on, our big rock is student needs. So when we see a kiddo in need, or we have an assessment that needs to be done, we'll obviously get the counselor involved. And this just gives us an opportunity to get a team together. So we do have those care teams and those groups that meet. And when you're talking about PLCs and grade levels that meet on a regular basis, they're talking about kids' needs, right? And then they get the counselors involved and the social workers. The RTI specialists are a big part of that. So they have their own teams. This would be starting with our central office team, and what I see more of this is literally a behavior risk assessment when we're talking about a kiddo in real crisis in terms of self-harm or people, and how do we get our resources together and really figure out what our plan looks like moving forward. Some of our Aspen concepts that we've put in place for our counselors, that's part of it as well. So I see this starting with a central office team and then reaching out to the schools. Julie, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
And it kind of talks in here, this is like also known as threat assessment. So it's kind of like when there's a threat to our schools and our kids and our, the safety. And so having processes in place for that.
So this is a little bit more of a
Which we do.
threat assessment. The care team goes more academically as well as behaviorally. That's how I see it.
And this policy then would help just formalize the fact that you guys at central office, when all of these programs and all of these things are in motion, it needs to be coordinated, or the data and things looked at, and that's an ongoing process and a needs process. So.
And we have safety committees too that meet in the schools, and that looks a little bit different, the way the principals want to do those meetings as well. But then again, what I see as really not putting any more work on our teachers, or really the actual threat assessment would come from our team, and then we would get people involved that we need to get involved with. That's pretty much what I see this functioning as.
Yeah, my question was, is it something that's just gonna muddy the water, so to speak? Like, we have these other things in place already that we're talking about. Is it just something that's gonna add and kind of just muddy that up a little bit with the angle we're already at? And then I kind of looked at some of the, it talks about in here, each team will, basically, we're gonna train and provide guidance to our students or staff, where that kind of leads to. And with that, I had just some concerns, how, different students are looked at. Is that gonna be kind of a target scenario? Like what level? So you talk to the central, start at the central office, but where does that go and how does that look like? Is it something that we get the students involved? I understand, not saying it's not a bad idea, it's a great idea. We want that threat assessment and stuff like that, but how far does it need to go in that is just my concern when I was kind of reading through this and just looking at it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and back to Ellen, your kind of conversation too. The things that we're authentically doing under our big rock of student needs, I think we're pretty much doing it already. I'm not looking to add more to anybody's plate or do even more than we're doing, but I do think But, and then this is my thought is, when they give you this optional policy, I think for me, it's a statement of we're, as a district, we're understanding that behavioral risk assessments and making sure, and obviously talk about threat assessments, but that we do have some processes and we do have some resources that we can go to when we really need to assess something. We're not out there looking for more, obviously, we don't need to be looking out for more issues, but really have a plan there where it starts with us. And obviously, an individual student will start with a care team or a group. Hey, we've got an issue or we have a threat. How do we assess it? How do we move forward? And then just use our central office team as a natural team to start with. To me, that just goes along with authentically what we're already doing. I mean, that's how I see it. I'm not looking to add anything or any extra duties or, and then again, we've got the Aspen tools, so there's threat assessments or risk assessments. We have other risk assessments that we do on kiddos that are in crisis. And again, what does that look like? A lot of our risk assessments, it's more of self-harm or things that are happening individually. So we don't have to me, this is more of, is this a threat to a school district, that type of thing. And I will give you, I'll let you know this too. I was actually part of that presentation with Safe Defend at MSBA, where they have a whole training on, a whole staff member who was with FBI, and they do all kinds of training that we could bring in some people on risk assessments. So to me, I'm not looking to bring them all in at this point, but we do have that resource if we need it. To really, to me, this is, we've got a situation where we need to really make sure we have some real risk assessments going on, and I think this just kind of sums it up for how we would do it. That's all that is, in my opinion.
And I don't see this policy as a top-down kind of policy, but rather formalizing the fact that all of the things that we're doing that we might see at the building level or something that's happening, the teacher notice, that as these things are being noticed, there's some systematic way that central office people who are already having access to this and they're talking, then it's not an additional, you don't need more work.
And when
Well,
I
we
say
can
at
do
our
more.
level, I'm just meaning, I don't want, when it comes down to it, we have a threat in a bathroom, or we have for threat this, or we have a child that has some behaviors that we're concerned about. What does that risk assessment look like, right? And I want to be able to come, we've got we have special services, we have the curricular, we have we have all of our group here. Why don't we come and act as that team, and obviously work with the care teams of the schools, and then come alongside the families and the students to make sure they get the help they need. That's kind of how I see it. And I think as an optional policy, I think we can do it the way we want to do it. And we get obviously more discussion next month too.
Yeah, so, this was first reading, and we'll have it in January for you to vote on. Item 7.02, Jeremy, we're ready for our audit review.
All right, excellent. Chris, if you could hit the actual audit report, that would be wonderful. And then go to page 1, if you don't mind. All right, so obviously there's a lot in an audit report, so I'm going to walk you through, or at least speak you through, some of the stuff. I don't know if I'll walk you through very well or not, since I am not an auditor, and but I will do my very best from a financial standpoint. So if you look at page 1, that's where the auditor presents the opinion of the actual audit. And there's a lot of language in here that can make it very confusing. But if you look at the second paragraph where it talks about a modified cash basis financial position, that's just how we accrue and then account for our money. So we have long-term and we have short-term assets. And the long-term is the accrual, the short-term is the cash piece. Primarily, we are a cash-based accounting district, and that's not uncommon for school districts across the state of Missouri or the nation. If you look a little bit further, it says in that second paragraph, financial statements referred to above present fairly and in all material respects. And then at the last line, it says, cash therefore for the year then ended in accordance with the modified cash basis of accounting described in note 1. That's where they start to speak of the unmodified opinion, meaning it is a clear report. You will further see that in paragraph 4 at the bottom. Last sentence, our opinions are not modified with respect to this matter as far as the basis of accounting is concerned. So that's just a snapshot of what goes further into this report. And I can show you at the last page where it speaks to that, or where it shows that a little bit further. So that's page 1, and that's a lot of what they're talking about there is from their opinions, they're seeing that it's an unmodified, which is the standard that we want to get from an auditor in a report. We do not want to get anything lower than that. That's not what we strive for. Is there anything above an unmodified? There is not, just to be clear. Moving on from that, I think it's important to go to what I have marked, and we can certainly answer some of the other questions, but page 8, Chris, if you can go there. On page 8, it just basically gives us a rundown of revenues and expenditures for the year. And things I think that are important for the board to note here, at least in open session, is the excess deficiency of revenues collected over expenditures paid. You'll see a difference there. And you're also going to see a difference of other financing sources, transfers to and from, with about a $20,000 difference. That will give us a $4 million difference in the budget of last year. That would be $4 million spent over what was actuals from the very beginning of the year. That's not alarming to me. It's a huge number, but it's not alarming to me. So I want to give caution on that before our hearts start racing here, because that's a ton of money. ESSER 2, ESSER 3 revenue had not been brought in. Even though it was expended, it had not been brought in to the tune of a little over $2 million. And then we have IDA money that's also connected to the American Resource Rescue Plan, which is essentially ESSER, but it has a different tag to it. That was about $200 and some thousand that we needed. Plus, we did give the raises last year during a non-negotiated year to 2 of the 3 bodies. The great thing is, revenues were very high last year and far exceeded what was budgeted for. But I did want to point that out to you all because that could present a case of alarm if you're reading that, and so I wanted to point that out. You'll notice that the fund balance is beginning and the fund balance is ending. Last, was it June 30th of 2022? It was 24.6. June 30th of 2023, we're at 22, but again, those revenues were offset on some of that. So last year, if you remember, we were at 21.7 as an unrestricted fund balance. When we look at expenditures versus revenue, that revenue did not come in until we just received it late November. So it was right at the end of the month when we received that revenue that would equalize some of that and probably would have landed us closer to it was 1.7, so probably almost 2% gain on that. So I think that's important for us to know and to keep in mind, because it would be nice if it was all packaged together in one year, fiscal year, but it does not, especially when it comes to federal funds. Page 10 through 19 are a lot of footnote pages. We could certainly go through them if you want, but a lot of it's just legal language and the accounting language that the auditor uses to describe the actual report. And then I would like to focus from there some of our attention on the page 20. This is another audit that was done with regard to just a schedule of federal expenditures. So the auditor will come in and look at the expenditures for the school district and the revenue for the school district, but they also want to focus in on federal funds. And all this shows is that reconciliation was performed and that if you look at under total special education cluster, there is under Title I grants to local education agencies, there's an M next to that. And under elementary and secondary school emergency relief, there's an M next to that. Those are the major programs. We have no idea what they're going to come in and audit. Those are the programs that they came in one day and just started collecting all of our records and going through and looking at those things. Those items to make sure that the numbers that were presented they could see on paper as well. And those were aligned. So That's important with regard to federal expenditures, knowing that when we do receive that federal money, that it is accounted for. And it's probably one of the most difficult to account for, just because of the legalities surrounding it. And then page 37, if you go beyond that, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff with it, but page 37 is the unmodified clean report. So if you look on that, it has a bunch of no's next to material weakness identified, significant deficiencies, no, non-compliance material to financial statements noted, no, and on and on. But type of auditor's report issued on compliance for major programs, it's an unmodified report according to the auditor, and we're not a low-risk auditee because we collect a lot more money than what would make us low risk. So, so that's that piece. The other piece is the management comments, which we discussed last year, but remember, we were in a special session for that last year due to the timeliness of the audits. And I want to pull that up and look at that real quick. And this is where control deficiencies are noted. So if you look at the prior control deficiency number 1, that issue was corrected according to this audit. So totals from 941s match payroll summaries, Medicaid being one of the bigger ones, Social Security for some of our employees being one of the bigger ones. Those are the 941 pieces. Prior control deficiency number 2, the bank reconciliation was material close to the ledger. As was noted previously, the 204 versus the 74,000. What we believe is going on there is a liability accounts when we're getting revenue in, which we believe that happened last year as well, which is why we'll look at it again further this year. The revenue that we're collecting in reimbursables from our insurance, for our insurance purposes, are not being put back into our books in the appropriate way, meaning we have more money in the bank than what we're actually showing, and to the tune of $74,819. So the money is in the bank, and it's showing in the bank, it's just not showing correctly in our book right now. Same issue we had last year. It was not what an auditor would call is of material concern. It wasn't, but it still needs to be noted, and it needs to be addressed on our end, which certainly we're going to do that. So that's something else. And then the prior control deficiency number 3. So those 2, honestly, will go off of the books. Those are canceled out, but they still need to be noted. According to the auditor, they're off the books, not according to us, right? But according to the auditor. Prior control deficiency number 3, segregation of duties related to the coordinator of accounting has the ability to prepare checks, prepare bank reconciliations, enter all accounting transactions, access to positive pay system, but she's the only person that sees the district bank statements on a monthly basis. There are, I can see monthly bank statements every month. I actually get them mailed to me by UMB, but I also have the online account. I was just in there today. So I do see the monthly bank statements, but according to the auditor, we need to show proof more than just having the ability to do so. So that's something that needs to be addressed on ours. As far as reconciliation goes for the monthly reports, we actually have had, if you remember, LDR Administrative Services has been on board for a few years for us. So we've had several people looking at reconciliations, but they would like for us to scale it back from that service, which we are prepared to do at this point in time now, and sign off for it on my end. So I have the reconciliation report for November on my desk, and then I will sign off once I review it with the director of Business and Accounting, Mrs. Jenny Jenkins, who is actually also an auditor, so is very well versed in all of this language. And once we review, I sign off, then we keep a file to hand over to the auditor next year. So those are some of the responses that we could do for those control deficiencies. As talking to Jenny Jenkins throughout this process, her response is it's a good audit report. That's coming from an auditor that's walking into this district a couple years, but also talking to Jim Torty, who has consulted and advised, who is 40-plus years auditor, He also believes it's a good report. Now, you can take my word for that, but I'm just letting you know the conversations that I've had with individuals throughout this. So all in all, it's a good report, but it doesn't mean there's not work to be done. I mean, certainly there's work to be done on our end. So any questions?
Of course, me. Talking auditing, that's my language. So, I mean, we're talking about it being a good report, too. One highlight I think that's important is we didn't have any deficiencies, significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, right? I mean, taking anybody's word for it, if you don't see that, I think that speaks for itself, so that's great. For the control deficiency from the prior year, number 2, why, I guess, is it not showing properly? I get that it's in the bank and it's not pulling over, but like, is there a root cause?
We believe that we're putting the check in the bank, but then we're not recording it on our end. It's a simple bookkeeping mistake. I say simple because it shouldn't happen, right? But when June 30th ends, and this is what we have, we're not changing things after the fact. Now, when we see that that's the mistake, that's when we'll go in. But we can't look at the $70,000+ there and just, if it was that simple, that'd be fixed. It's going to be 4 or 5, more than likely, checks that will equal that total before we can finalize it.
Is that's not just in the last month of the period, it's
No, it's
probably
not.
transcends it?
No,
Okay.
it's not. There's also the issue with outstanding checks that date back several years. So where some of those, we can clean that up a bit. We discussed this a little bit last year. It just becomes harder and harder. And honestly, it's a lot of checks written to individuals, reimbursables, that we're having on our outstanding checklist. Those are a little bit harder to pull back from.
So does that kind of tie into number 3 to being the one person doing it all?
No, well, the check piece,
Yeah.
the check is generated. So, and that's what they say, it's not signed by an actual person.
Yeah.
But the business office has about 3 people that do help run those, but one person is listed as being responsible. So when we look at internal controls, when we turn that in like this is the person that's listed to be responsible. They want to see more. So with Jenny Jenkins' background, being an auditor, also being a CPA, that's one of the first things on her list, other than obviously good financials, is to get those internal controls the way she wants them to be.
Okay. So it's not just one, it's actually more. And also you're already identifying something to sign yourself to match the, list of people, superintendent, assistant superintendent, or board member to review stuff.
Correct.
So that's good. And I guess that probably means this time next year when we go through this, hopefully, this would be the only prior, and we have no other new ones, so we get full clean sheet.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
This is just a random question that I kind of had when I looked through this, because I did read it, because I do like auditing. Would any of this have tie-in, or would us still having a treasurer position have helped part of the internal controls for signatures on stuff, or is it fully unrelated? I thought so too, but it was kind of like calling out the board. And so I was just curious if, when they're talking about one person and having reviews, if that was part of it.
I think it's a really good question, and it's something of consideration. But I don't think that would have stopped that in this audit, even having that in place. I think they want to see it done without a special, like a board meeting. They want to see it as a regular practice with the people that are employed.
And I kind of remember fully unrelated just because of the way that position on the board was running at the time. Like,
Right.
it didn't have anything to do with that. Doesn't mean it can't, but
I agree.
that's why I said, I wanted to clarify why I said that.
But I think it's important to note that too.
Yeah.
Because it's one we had before that we didn't bring forward.
Right.
We're citing something that's calling out a reference to a board member review.
Exactly.
So I just think it's important to say yes or no to address it, or whether or not it actually should be something. So it's fair. Don't make it me. But no, so I think that's really all the questions I had for it, so thank you.
Any other questions? All right, do I have a motion? Wait, that's not, we don't need to,
There's a couple we've had that were information
Yeah,
only
this was
that I think we
information.
motioned
Yeah,
anyway.
I just looked up one, yep, just public information, thank you. But we are now ready for item 8.01, and this is our financial report.
Let me pull that up. Chris, if you could go down to the bottom page, please. Thank you. That's our year end. And I like the month of November. Well, I stress about the month of November, specifically November 20th payroll. Dr. Seifert will tell you that. And
I concur, he stresses, and then I stress as well.
I don't mean to do that. But then also December 5th, because this is when we hit our low point from a financial perspective in the district. So there's a few things I want, and this could be misleading, so I want to explain this the best that I can. So Fund 1 and Fund 2 are the accounts that are of greatest concern. And Fund 2 is the teacher's fund. That's our most funded account from a local tax base. And it's all of our teacher salaries and benefits, everything will go through that. We have to spend that down. So we fund that to a degree that we know it's going to be spent out of, knowing that we will eat into the general fund because 80% of our salary, or close to 80% of our salaries and benefits, or of our budget goes to salaries and benefits. So you'll see that as a -11, that's an expected -11 million because it does get money channeled over to it from Fund 1 from time to time. Fund 1 will always have that recurring money in it, we hope. That's where a lot of that unrestricted fund balance is going to sit. It will always sit in these Fund 1s and Fund 2s. It will never be in the 3s or 4s, just to give you clarity on that. So general fund and special fund. So if you subtract that, it gives you a roughly 8.4 million or something to that effect as a finishing number in November. So by all degree, should I have been worrying? No, when you know that payroll is going to cost us about 1.5 million every pay period. However, this is where we have to start thinking financially moving forward, is if you look at the page just above that, Chris, you'll see the Fund 1, Fund 2, Fund 3, Fund 4 accounts. This is what we have listed. And you'll see the general fund has that 13 million. The special fund has that 11, so you're down to 2 million. But then you have to add, what I think that's what it is. And then you have to add in the self-insurance, because that's a part of Fund 1. And then you would add in the food service, the student account, and the adult education money. That gives us that 8 million in totality when we finish that November. However, we don't like to rely on student activity. We cannot rely on food service, even though it's unrestricted money. It's restricted, but it's listed as unrestricted. We will only spend that on food service by statute. Adult education. So that's where I'm saying, yeah, our unrestricted money is showing 22 point something in true fashion. But this is where, from my lens and through the business office lens, we have to start thinking about our budget without that food service money built into it, because we do have to spend that down. We've been allowed to roll that money for some time, so it's the highest amount that we will probably ever have in this account, and that's related to construction project that's going on at Hardin, where the state has agreed to allow us to build that fund up in order to design and hopefully build out a new kitchen because it's so small and it's cramped and has a lot of issues that we need to address. So since that's part of the unrestricted, that 2 million, if we spend 1.5, that's going to be 1.5 that's off of the books in the near future towards that unrestricted. So I just want to bring that up because I think it's important for the board to hear that as we may look to do some different things with the budget in the near future, because we do have to offset those funds. Now, the nice thing about this is that 1.7 that I was telling you about that didn't get credited until November, that helps that number significantly for us. So it's going to be kind of an exchanging of money, not intentional exchanging, but that's just how when the federal revenue rolled in at the end of this month, it's going to be on the books for this year in this audit report, while the food service is being spent down. I hope that makes sense. And then, speaking of food service, bid proposals came in today, but we will not review them until December 18th in front of a committee. So we do have that, we hope to bring to the board in January. At the very latest, it would be February. And that should be it for the board report.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions about the financial report?
No, I don't.
Do I have a motion to approve the financial report as presented?
I move to approve the financial report as presented.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The financial report has been approved.
And Donna, we do need to go back to the audit review and take a vote for that. I don't know why it was showing up as not action, but
It is an action, yeah.
I went in and just
Okay.
changed it. I'm not sure.
That's,
But we do have to have that for the
yeah. We're going to go to back to item 7.02. On the audit report, we do need to have a motion to approve that.
I move to approve the audit report.
Do I have a second?
As presented.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So the audit report is approved. And now, having taken care of all of those things, do I have a motion for adjournment?
I move to adjourn.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ha. We're adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.